They are pink marine plants, and they have a hard skeleton, like a human with a living part on the outside, and they live in the sea, in shallow water. And because of their widespread distribution, they are very, very important. They're important from biological aspects. For example, they act as kindergartens, if you like, for juvenile organisms of commercial importance, like scallops, like haddock, like cod. But they're also important because they lock up lots of carbon, which is really important in the climate change process.
The coralline algae are actually quite common, quite widespread. Are they in any way threatened?
They are. And so because they have this hard skeleton, they're very brittle. And so they're threatened from breakage, so if there's a physical impact it will break them and it will kill them. But they're also threatened from changes in the world's ocean's temperatures and their chemistry. So one example of that would be a process called ocean acidification. So as we release carbon dioxide into the atmosphere, this dissolves into the seas and effectively makes them more acidic. And because they have a hard skeleton, which is made of chalk, so they will start to dissolve. And so if we continue to change the chemistry of the world's oceans and make them more acidic, these plants will start to dissolve and we'll lose them. And this could happen over the next 50 years or so.
Whilst these plants might be fairly lowly plants and be affected by these global changes, they themselves are actually recording those global changes.
That's absolutely right. And so one way, for example, of telling the temperature of the oceans is to put a thermometer in there. And we can do that. That will tell us what the temperature of the ocean was now, or as if we go back in time, as far back as we had thermometers available. But it's important to have longer records of environmental change so we can see, relative to the past, how rapidly the environment is changing at the moment. And the beauty of these is that they record the temperature of the water within their skeleton. And the reason they do that is because they're just like trees on land. So every year they grow, they lay down a growth band, and if you look at the individual, it has lots of these growth bands. So just like tree rings, if you count back the number of growth bands, you count back the number of years. And so we can use both the chemistry and the structure of each of these growth bands to tell us what the marine environment was hundreds of years ago. And uniquely, the resolution of these records is extremely high. So we can produce one temperature reading every 2 weeks for the past 600 to 1,000 years. So this is a fantastic resource for understanding how past environments behaved and relatively how fast the current environments are changing.
I mean, that's a level of precision that other proxies don't really give you.
That's correct. So other proxies will tend to have annual resolution at long time scales, while these have subannual, well, basically weekly or monthly resolution. We can produce weekly or monthly resolution records from them.
And how far do they go back? How far back in time?
In time, geological time, about 20 or 30,000 years we're looking. And so we can produce records that will be that long. They'll tell us about the past and allow us to understand the relative rates of current climate change compared to historic climate change, but they're also really critical in contemporary processes, both from a biological but also from a biogeochemical aspect.